Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be reacting to real stories from people talking about why they regret getting divorced and what actually led to the divorce in the first place. For many people, divorce feels like the right decision at the time, but later on, some start to reflect and realize things they wish they had done differently. From communication problems to personal struggles, there are many reasons relationships break down. In this video, we're going to listen to different experiences and understand what really went wrong and why some people ended up regretting it. Let's get into it.
So recently I caught up with an old friend and she was telling me that she got divorced, and I was so surprised because her and her husband were such a cute couple and they had been together for 11 years. So I asked her, like, what happened? I figured something bad happened. She's like, honestly, I was just bored. Like, my husband, all he did was work. I was a stay-at-home mom. We had 3 kids and I just got lonely and bored. And she says that when she would bring it up, like, he would take her out, but it was just boring to her. Like, she needed some excitement in her life. She just felt like she was just a mom and a wife, and her husband just wasn't doing that for her. And she had other friends that had, boyfriends, or like they had just got married and they were always going out, always going on vacation, always partying, like going to the club, going to the bar, hanging out with friends, and they did none of that. And when she would bring it up to her husband would always tell her, like, I gotta work. Like, they had a big house, they had nice things. Like, he was just trying to work. So they ended up getting divorced. And now, she's single, she lives alone, she's working, and she's dating. So then I told her, oh, well, that must be exciting, like dating and stuff. And she's like, no, I fucking hate it. And I was like, why? And she's like, because all they want to do is just have fun. They just want to go to the club. They just want to go to the bar. They just want to hang out, have a good time, and then that's it. She said no one wants to help me out. Like, I'm trying to find someone that's going to help take care of my kids. She's like, I just want someone to be a provider, not just a good time. So I was all like, well, wasn't that what your husband was doing? And she's like, I know. And I guess now her ex-husband is dating someone, like, seriously. They have been divorced for a total of 3 years, and he has been dating this girl for 2 years. She has 2 kids, and they're already living together. She says that he's fully taking care of her. Like, the girl doesn't work, she's a stay-at-home mom. They haven't had any new kids, but they're planning on having kids. And she's pissed because she's like, how can he move on so fast? Like, I can't even find nobody, and he just found someone so quick, and he didn't even want to give us another try, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was so confused because I was like, okay, so you divorced him because he was always working and you were bored. So now you are single, going out, having a good time, dating, but you don't like that. Now you want someone to take care of you, a provider. And your ex-husband, all he wanted to do was be a provider. That's why now he is dating someone who he has no problem providing for her and her kids. And she's pissed because she's like, why would he go and find someone who has kids? Like, he already has kids. Why would he want to take on that responsibility? And I'm like, wait, aren't you looking for someone to take on that responsibility? I was just giving her a hard time, I'm not gonna lie, because it was kind of funny to me, because I was like, I could tell that she regretted her decision. I could tell. And I've seen a lot of people do shit like this where they get divorced for reasons that are not, I'm not gonna say they're not valid, because everybody's feelings are valid, but they're fixable problems. Like, I don't know if you guys have this wrong idea of marriage that is supposed to be like fun and happy all the time. It's not. I feel like every relationship literally depends on compromise. Like, you gotta compromise something. You cannot have everything. And to be honest with you, like, if she was willing to give up on him that quick, like, maybe she just didn't love him that much. Because I cannot even imagine just me being like, oh, I'm bored, I'm gonna divorce my husband, like, no, you figure it out, you work it out. But I could tell that she's regretting it, because what she thought she wanted is not what she thought she wanted.
All right, in this next clip, this woman is explaining why she's getting divorced after just 1.5 years of marriage. She shares that at first, everything seemed normal, but over time, she started noticing red flags in the relationship. According to her, she later realized she was dealing with someone who had very controlling and manipulative behaviors, which she didn't fully understand at the beginning. She also talks about how these situations can be hard to recognize while you're in them, especially when emotions are involved and things seem good on the surface. This is a very personal story, and she's sharing it to help others who might be going through something similar. Let's watch and hear her experience.
So why am I getting divorced after a year and a half? I got married at 28 and I'm 29 and I'm currently getting a divorce. And I owe it to you guys to explain to you why I'm getting a divorce, because over 10 million of you guys watched me get married last year. I want to share why I'm getting divorced is because I got married to a narcissist unknowingly, and it was all built upon a lie. And I started talking about this on Threads and on my Twitter account, and I shared some of that to my Instagram stories. And since sharing that, I've gotten hundreds of DMs from women who are in the same situation or who have been in that situation. And so many of them have told me, I'm so grateful that you've been talking about this and that you've been transparent about this, because I didn't have the strength to leave. Now that I'm seeing that you are leaving so soon as well, I'm now inspired to leave. I do want to talk about this specifically when it comes to the narcissistic abuse part, because you don't even realize it's happening to you while it's happening to you. For so many of us, we just didn't even know what was happening while it was happening. I'm going to share as much as I can. And I think it's also important for us to remember that there's a difference between narcissistic personality disorder and having narcissistic traits, okay? Those are two different things. So let's start from the beginning. So in 2020, I met my husband on Hinge, and I was living in New York City at the time, and I was working from home. I was working on Wall Street, and I was pretty isolated. Here comes my husband on Hinge, and he looks great, and he seems like a pretty decent guy, and he really sold himself as like this faith-based guy and like really serious with like really good intentions, and you know, I bought it. Now, he was going to be starting a job on Wall Street as well at a different firm. And I like the fact that he was already in the industry, so he understood my work schedule, because I really did have a demanding schedule. Again, very normal guy, seemingly decent guy. The relationship is good to start. Towards the end of 2020, I started to pick up on the fact that our values weren't really aligned. And especially when it came to faith, there were some things that weren't adding up, right? So I did let him know that, hey, I think we should break up. I think we should part ways, because, you know, we're just not aligned. Now, he accepted it at first, but then he kept trying to message me and get back with me and saying, you know, I really don't understand. I really miss us and all of that. And then he starts to mention the fact that there's a ring fund, because, you know, he sees me as his future wife, that he's already gained 14% on. And I remember saying to him, like, I'm sorry, what does that have to do with anything? And so that is an example of, I think it's called love bombing. I am somebody who had a narcissistic parent. So I grew up on gaslighting. I grew up on manipulation. I grew up on love bombing. So that feels familiar to me. I didn't really have the language for what exactly my soon-to-be ex-husband was doing at the time, but now that I do have the language for it, I see it for what it was, right? If you have broken up with somebody, they seemingly accept it, but then they're coming back and they're like, okay, but I have 14% on a ring fund, right? They're trying to like lure you back in, right? They're trying to talk about all these things that they do for you or what they're doing for you to try to lure you back in. Now, I was resistant to his efforts. At the beginning of 2021, I do start a new job, and that job is actually at the firm that he's working at in a different capacity, but we've been broken up. We're still cordial. Now, he's still trying to get back with me. He's inserting himself in a way that's friendly, but like also clearly like he regrets that, you know, we parted ways. Again, I'm focusing on my new job. I'm just focusing on like getting my life together. He does become a source of support for me as I'm in this new job, because he's already familiar with this firm. He knows how to support people, and like he really is just a great friend to have. My birthday's in July, and yes, we're friends, we're not together, but he totally inserted himself into my birthday in a way that was like, you know, I'm her man, got me a cake and everything. And like, I appreciated all of those efforts, because at the end of the day, like, it's great to have somebody who is looking out for you and all of those things. But again, I wasn't cognizant of the fact that like boundaries were not in place, right? And this is something that you have to be very aware of as a young woman when you're dealing with these men. Like, if you have broken up with somebody, right, there is no reason why they should still be coming around in that capacity. And if they keep coming around under the guise of friendship, right, because they love and care about you deeply as a friend, you need to be very careful. Because I was very convinced that, okay, he keeps showing up and he's just around because, like, you know, he just cares deeply about me and he just wants to be the person that's there for me. Now, despite the fact that we're broken up, anybody who has shown any kind of interest in me, anyone who he knows is interested in me, he's creating obstacles for these people. He would want to spend like every waking moment of the weekend with me, and I just had zero space. This is another sign that you are dealing with a narcissist. They do not give you any space. Keep in mind, the job that I had at this time on Wall Street, I was working at the desk from 6:30 a.m. until roughly about like 6:30 p.m., right? So I'm 12 hours on the desk, Monday to Friday, and every waking minute of the weekend, he would want to spend time with me. I don't really like people like that. I like my space. I do believe that I am an introvert, and I really do need to recharge, especially when I'm in an office setting and when I'm around people for so long. Like, I need like to decompress, right? I'm blessed now that I work from home and I don't need to like recharge as much, but I really needed my space. And he is really lobbying, really pushing that we get back together. And he's even convinced another one of my friends that he really loves me, he really sees a future with me, and, you know, for me to give him a chance. He's very, very, very convincing. Like, this man, he could sell you anything. He is really good. He puts on a great show. And even my friend is like, wow, like, I don't know any guy who's ever loved you this much. Like, this man he is so committed. And I'm like, yep, that is true. And I'm like, you know what? I'll give him a chance. We did get back together.
I regret every single day of my life, the last 6 years, giving my ex 50-50 custody of our children. I've stayed away from sharing about my divorce because I don't want you guys to think it's my entire personality. However, I am going to be sharing more because, one, I really needed to see things when I was going through my divorce, and it helped me feel validated. And because usually none of your friends are going what you're going through when you're getting divorced, it's hard to be able to go to them and ask for advice or get feedback. And so I want to share for that. But while I don't want to make it my entire personality, I have decided that if he is going to stress me all the way out and he is going to ruin our children's lives while I gave him 50-50 custody, I'm going to go ahead and make the content about it. I saw a quote, and it's so true. No man fights harder for 50-50 custody than the man who couldn't even watch the kids while you took a shower for 15 minutes. We were married for 7 years. He was rarely home. He was very much unhelpful. Pretty much checked out our entire relationship on being a husband and being a father. And when I moved out and said, you know, we're getting a divorce, and he saw that I was serious, he quit his job so that he could have a leg to stand on for 50-50 custody. There's a difference between a divorce. A divorce is never fun. It sucks. There's a difference between a regular divorce and divorcing a narcissist and somebody who's abusive. And there was not really physical abuse, but there was a lot of other things, right? And they said, Andrea, he'll calm down after the divorce. So I know this is all really hard. I know that he's being terrible. I know that he's completely out of pocket. But if you don't want to go to trial, give him 50-50, and we can reverse 50-50 if he proves himself to not be a good dad, he's not co-parenting well, all of this stuff. Two things. A narcissist never calms down after a divorce. I wish I knew that. I was also in denial that he was actually a narcissist, because that's what they do. They gaslight you and you're so confused and you don't even know what's happening. Secondly, nowhere, I don't care where you live, is it just a snap of the fingers and a filing to take away 50-50 custody and change that court order. Nobody told me if you want to change it, then you're going to have to spend 40 grand, 2 years of your life, a court battle and a trial for a judge to maybe change it. So for the last 6 years, we have dealt with him not letting me talk to the kids on his week. We are 1 week on, 1 week off. He refuses to sign them up for sports. We have 2 boys. He has gone behind my back multiple times. He has trash talked me to the children that I am just now finding out, because when we got divorced, they were little. Okay? Now they're going to be 10 and 13. And so while I refused to trash talk him, and I refused to make their dad a thing when they were here, because I just want us to be happy and move along with our life, their dad has been doing his best, what I would call parental alienation. And so now I am navigating. My oldest comes back angry at me because of things that his dad has told him. Some are true, some are not true. Some should never be told to a child. My children should not be involved in our parenting decisions. And he refuses to have parenting discussions with me about where they're going to go to school, about this, that, and the next thing. He just has it with the children and then sends them back here to bully me so that he will get what he wants. So if you're going through a divorce or you're looking to get a divorce, this is what I'll say. I think very few men deserve 50-50 custody. If their actions in the marriage were not 50-50, they do not get 50-50 custody moving forward. If you all are high conflict and he is abusive to you in any sense of the word, he does not get 50-50. And I should have fought harder on the fact that he was never 50-50 in our marriage. But I felt bad for me leaving him, that him and the children would suffer. And so I gave it to him, thinking that he would be grateful and that he would just be a good dad that he's supposed to be, and that if we were not together anymore, there wouldn't be all of that tension and drama, and that he could enjoy his time with his kids and be a good dad.
Okay, in this next clip, this woman shares a very real and relatable story about why she almost got divorced after being with her husband for nearly 20 years. What's interesting is that she says her husband is actually a good man, supportive, loving, and a great dad. But even with all that, she still reached a point where she felt completely burnt out and overwhelmed. She talks about something a lot of people don't always notice in relationships, the mental load, and how one partner can end up carrying most of the responsibility at home, especially after having kids. This is one of those situations where nothing major went wrong, but small things kept building up over time. Let's watch her story.
I've been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women. I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men and we have amazing relationships, and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do, right? Every woman has heard this. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. That would make my life so much easier, because when I've got the 4 kids running around and the baby crying, I can't be looking for their favorite water bottle in the dishwasher. I just need to know it's clean. And he said, yeah, of course. What? Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets, and then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning where I woke up, and I went to put something in the trash, and it was overflowing. And I went to get my son's water bottle, and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me, because what he's done has now made me late for work. And he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the impact on me. And he doesn't see how every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it. The diaper bag is full because I filled it, right? I put the wipes in there. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone. And it's not because my husband didn't love me or he did anything to me. And it's not because I didn't love him, but because I felt so taken advantage of in our relationship. And this dynamic, it doesn't happen by accident, right? It's not like my husband did it to me, but we've been raised in this society that tells men and women who they should be in marriages and what it looks like to be a good mom versus a good dad. And we know the bar for moms is way up here and the bar for dads is way down here. And we fell into these norms. We fell into these roles in our family, despite the fact that we never wanted to. And I'm lucky, and I say lucky because I have a partner who I know loves me and wants me to be happy and was willing and able to change. And so we did the work to figure out what equity looked like in our relationship. And I can tell you now, 3 years later, that we are happier than ever. Our kids are thriving. Our home runs like a well-oiled machine. And that took a lot of work. I want to say it took like 18 months to get there. And it was well worth it. But it is not uncommon. And so if your wife is coming to you and she's saying, I'm burnt out by the mental load and I need you to do more, she's not just saying that because she wants you to do more chores. She's saying that because truly it can hurt your relationship. It can ruin your marriage if you do not participate in an equitable way in your home. And so what does that look like? What does it look like to change these dynamics? Well, we need to really assess in our homes what the work looks like. Because in most homes, the data supports this, women do a disproportionate amount of the work. They just do. They do more of the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and the childcare while also working full time. And men have more time for things like their hobbies, like golf, for example, or just working out, running a marathon, right? And so we need to have hard conversations about what our time looks like, what our labor in the home looks like, what is invisible labor. We have to talk about these things. And when we don't, the alternative is that you no longer have a marriage, or you don't have a happy one at least. And so I share this story because I don't think I'm alone in this experience, and I want people to know that there's hope, and that if you have a willing and able partner, you can change this. You can absolutely change this dynamic.
I cannot believe that I let somebody abuse me for 3 years, and I'm crying because I'm just so happy. I know it sounds crazy, but like, for the first time in, oh my God, almost like 4 years, I can feel like my heart getting put back together, like from all the pain, because I finally decided to leave. Like I finally decided like I did not deserve to be treated like that at all. And it's just so crazy because I did not think I was gonna get to this point. Like, it's so hard to trust God in the midst of so much pain. But oh my God, like it's so, like I can't even explain it. I'm crying because I'm just so excited. But like, I was driving this morning and I could literally feel my heart being like put back together, like stitched back together. Like it's such a wild concept, but it's like, wow, like God really does have a plan, and he knows the answer, and it is going to work out like day by day. It's just takes a little bit longer than you want it to, but it's just, oh my God, anybody that is struggling and their partner is not making the effort and showing them unconditional love, leave, because you are going to be so much happier without that person, because it's not normal to be with somebody who doesn't make you a better person, who doesn't make you enjoy life. Like, that's what having a partner is. But I just share that with you because it's exciting, it's growth, and a lot of people have followed me on like my divorce journey on here. So yeah, just wanted to share.
Why aren't you dating? Get back out there, find your person. I'm good. These are the 3 reasons that I choose to remain single after a 22-year marriage ended. The first one is that I do not want physical intimacy. In my mind, it's awesome. In reality, it's a huge disappointment. When you're young and the men have still got it, they just brag about how great they are, but they can't actually deliver, and you're under constant attack. In my own home, I was being hunted. Constant groping, constant fondling, and if you say something, it just hurts their fragile ego. They take it as rejection. It becomes this whole thing. And then when you're in your 40s and beyond, you're dealing with ED, STDs, popcorn addiction, and other weird stuff. I really should have been a nun. I mean, look how great I look in that habit. The second reason is that I'm my best version of myself when I'm single. When I'm in a relationship, I hate myself. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I lack motivation. I just don't like me. Versus when I'm single, I feel like I'm on top of the world. I'm thriving. I'm laser focused. I'm accomplishing things that I just can't do when I'm in a relationship. I love me. And the third reason is that I want to be of service to as many people as possible versus being a slave to one person. You've had a death in the family, I can be there for you. You've just had a baby, I can bring you a casserole. You need a volunteer? Pick me. I can say yes to helping so many different people and organizations, and I can't do that when I'm in a relationship. This life is not for everyone, but my gosh, I was born for it.
All right, guys. In this next clip, this woman shares a very intense story about her divorce and why she's now going back to court to try and stay divorced. She explains that she left her marriage years ago due to serious personal issues in the relationship, including stress, lack of support, and a very unhealthy environment. Since then, she's been raising her child on her own and says her life has been much better. But now, out of nowhere, her ex-husband is trying to challenge the divorce legally, which is forcing her to go back to court after all these years. This is definitely one of those situations where the past comes back unexpectedly. Make sure you like and follow for more real stories like this. Let's watch.
Come with me to hopefully stay divorced. Story time. So I've been divorced for 6 years. I left my ex-husband over 7 years ago and moved back with family in California. I filed for divorce in California. We've been totally no contact for over 5 years. It's been great. We do have a daughter together. He does not pay child support. He has not seen his daughter since before she was 2. Honestly, I'm fine with it because he is in active addiction, has never offered to go to rehab, has, to my best of my knowledge, never tried. He truly believes that you can use drugs and have a normal life. I disagree. He's also a narcissist. I suffered years and years of narcissistic abuse, immense stress and trauma in my relationship with him. I was gaslit beyond belief, and I can't exactly blame this on him, but I was diagnosed with MS shortly before we separated. Stress and MS are not a good combination. My life has been exponentially better since he's been out of it, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Despite being a single mother, despite not ever getting any financial help from him, I'm great. I'm doing great, and maybe he can tell. He has admitted to following me online, stalking me. I've blocked him on every platform. I don't communicate with his family. Again, he's an abuser. He was really, really bad. Not just because of his addiction. He also is DL, or a homosexual who seeks out women, gets into relationships with them, mooches off of them, uses them for financial and emotional benefits. He's doing that now. He clearly has a new girlfriend. He's had ChatGPT or maybe somebody more official help him write up this little bitty legal thing. And because the only judgment that's ever been ruled in our case, which ended up being a default judgment in California, he is asking to set aside the judgment, which that judgment is essentially the ruling of our divorce. So I'm saying undivorced because it's cute, it's catchy, it's weird. And it's essentially what would have to happen in order for him to get financial gain, which is what he's trying to get. He thinks that I tricked the judge in some way to give me more money in the divorce settlement because I asked for a certain amount of money if and when we sold our home. Kind of as a buyout, because I had to flee the family home with my infant daughter and I've never received any sort of financial help. He's a complete absent father to both of his children. And for me to walk away from the home, that felt like, okay, I can recoup this. I couldn't kick him out at the time. He had already was using the home to sell and gave that address to sex workers to use as their address. So that house was like totally tainted and I had to flee. Like I never had a fighting chance. A lot of people would ask me, why didn't you just stay in the house and like kick him out? That was not an option. He was not going anywhere. He was also still very actively gaslighting me for the first year of our separation. So like he would tell me he was sober to the point that I couldn't even help. I just had no like footing. I had no evidence. I couldn't even help my stepdaughter's bio mom in like until we were able to finally connect and like see where things aligned. And then he completely horrifically flunked a test with some of the highest numbers that are even Googleable. So he's not seen his children since then. He blames me for that, not them. But that's how these people work, right? Fast forward to today, back maybe in September, he told me he had an intent to file to set aside our judgment, set aside the ruling of our divorce. And I've just stayed up to date on the court system in my county. It was a default judgment, so he had 6 months to contest and he never did anything. And he's saying that I defrauded him. Yeah, so no evidence of fraud because there was no fraud. To me, I feel like it's going to take 5 whole minutes, but I am going to go. I am going to look stunning. He's appearing virtually, which is great. Otherwise, I would be way more anxious, I think, to not have seen your abuser in over 6 years, 7 years maybe, and have them come at you full force about something so ridiculous as like, I think the total amount he could even be claiming I owe is $6,000. I might write about it on Substack. But yeah, so today I'm going to court to fight for my right to stay divorced. Wish me luck. Here's hoping that I get to stay divorced today and the judge does not choose to set aside the judgment that was ruled on 6 years ago. If this ever happened to you, let me know. And if you think this is crazy, let me know in the comments because it is crazy. Okay, love you, bye.
Bow, 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 yeah, bitch, yeah, ho. It's a motherfucking celebration. It's a celebration. This cause standing ready for the hearing being duly submitted by testimony of the Taking Board Brigade Magistrate Court Day, the issue upon January 21st. Order Judge Decree Plaintiff Mihalang Chow is hereby awarded an absolute divorce. Divorce from the defendant, Karim Skinner. Woo woo. I don't even drink, bitch. But let's take a shot of water. It took way too long to get that divorce, but it's done. It's done. Too long. Now I gotta move on. Do it on myself. What I need you for. Cheers to divorce. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm divorced from my ex. So we had gotten married. This lady came over the house and married us. She never put paperwork in, so I thought that I was not married the entire time after we separated, because I went up to the courthouse and they told me that I didn't need to file for a divorce because there was no complete divorce paper. Then I got audited by the IRS and the IRS said, ma'am, we need proof of divorce. It doesn't matter that the paperwork wasn't through, you still was married. And I was like, well, what the fuck? And then he was getting on my nerves by making me waste all this money on a lawyer because I flew all the way out there and he literally could just fucking sign the paper then and there, but he wanted to be a fucking complicated asshole and walk out of the fucking courthouse while we're in the middle of fucking sign. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Free. Woo! Now I can move on with the next chapter of my life. Right before Valentine's Day, this is amazing. Thank you, God. God is good. I thought my New Year's was starting out rough for Lunar New Year's, but seems like it's going in a good direction because